Right, welcome back. And now the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission wants governors, county officials and members of county assemblies who have corruption-related court cases to be locked out of this year's general election. 8 governors, including Evans Kidero from Nairobi, Alfred Mutua from Machakos, Avi Godana from Isiolo, Adam Nathif from Garissa, Sospita Ojamong from Busia, and Mwangi wa Iria from Muranga, all of whom have been interviewed by the EACC, may be among those targeted. Is this a good move towards divorcing corruption from governance in Kenya? Right, is this a good move? Because I can think of many people who've got mud stuck on them, some part of their body, as we head into this general election, but they've singled out these particular 8. I personally think it's a good idea. Sharon, do you think, I can think of one lady who was cleared by EACC, but is still standing and had lots of mud thrown at her. Is this a good move?
Right. First, Julie, I think the EACC is yet to give out the list officially of who they're investigating, but just those who have appeared before them, right. What they have stated is that they are actually trying to make it hard for those people to vie for office. Right. But what would come, what would interest us to know is because constitutionally, you can only not vie for office once you have, what is it that it says? That you bad if you are convicted, right? Convicted. So within this time between now and August, do they have that time to do the investigations, to do the prosecutions?
We talk about the issue of time a lot, and then we let the rug is getting fuller and fuller of things we're sweeping under the carpet. Yeah. Yes, and I really think that even the suggestion of impropriety at this point in time, because we've learned that where there's smoke, there's most often fire in this country. The suggestion that you've done something wrong should have people looking at you a bit funny, Betty.
But we can't bar them on smoke.
No, but you know what? Exactly. And me and Lorna had an argument, a slight one, about this. A disagreement about this earlier. And my feeling is that the EACC, as it has always been used to wage political battles, and this is what is happening this time, because you see you're following up on accusations already. Before you give out the official list, you've already made claims, and we don't have any evidence. I think they should just leave people alone, let them go into the elections, and then you collect your evidence. You follow up on it.
But when has there ever been evidence presented that
and that's the problem with the EACC. You see, that's the problem with the EACC. They are never able to follow through with whatever it is they start. Is it fair for them to torpedo people's political ambitions in that regard? I think not.
But they need support in terms of investigations. I mean, they launched the investigations, then we have the, Department of Criminal Investigations to do that. And but what I would think, Lorna, I don't know what you think, is that there's no need to come out of this, because it's like just hot air. There's no need to come up with this now until you actually
lead to rain beating somebody very hard, but that's just my opinion.
I think the rain gods have stopped. I think the hot air will lead us all to getting into hot air balloons and flying away to the sunset and enjoying the views of the poor Mwananchi as they suffer through this. So partly, as we had this disagreement, and I was vehemently against Betty's position of saying, you're trying to ruin people's aspirations. Right. But she has a point.
No, but what is your political aspiration in the face of justice?
She has a point. Oh. And the point is this. I want you to name one high-profile person who has been prosecuted for crime where EACC has done. They have all walked into that office
and escorted
by their communities, and they have all walked out. And I tell you, that stink has been cleaned out. That stink has been cleaned out, and they have gone on to be elected by their people. I went back to start looking at all the different people, and just when she said that, I was like, who are these people who've come through? Who are leaders? That list is a drop in the ocean. So partly my disappointment in this is that as we sit here, I have no faith in that institution to do anything more than blow hot air.
So, but does that
I have no faith in that institution than to give us headlines to distract us to discuss.
But does that mean, beyond, in addition to discussing headlines, that we just let these people go scot-free, we just wave to them as they walk into the horizon?
I think part of it has got to go back to the individual communities. One of the things I love about devolution is that it takes us away from, as citizens, from the excuse of saying, my community or my area has not developed because my person isn't here, okay? Your person is the guy who, instead of buying you things you matter, is buying you wheelbarrows for 109,000 shillings. Yeah. Your person is the one who your hospital is not working. Your person is the one. So what I hope that this does for citizens, and this was always going to be a difficult first time, that over the next 5 years, we become more astute as voters, as the people electing, and ask, wait a minute, you've been mentioned in these issues.
Right.
Where is that smoke? Because as she's talking about, there is fire.
Right.
People do know about
What if we talk about people like Moses Kuria and Waititu, who actually got very far along in that court process and could not be prosecuted because apparently the evidence was not inadmissible, which doesn't mean they're innocent, just means that the court process stalled. Should we again say that we're standing in the way of their political ambitions?
Yeah, okay. And then we have the situation with the institutions that have been gifted, let's put it that way, gifted with the responsibility of following through with these investigations, the DPP's office, the judiciary, the DCI, who were in a very nice meeting at State House, and it was about governance and corruption, and all of them frustrated the president to the point that, he's like, mnataka nifanye nini? And I don't think any Kenyan has ever forgotten that moment.
I think they frustrated everybody. Their primary job as EACC is just to do this, essentially, where somebody is, call them out. But the tragedy is they have demonstrated to be a toothless dog. So even this kind of threat falls flat on the faces of everybody, from those politicians to the public. And we'll just hold that. We'll hold that over there as we move on. And Auditor General Edward Oko wants the National Assembly to dismiss a petition seeking his removal from office, dismissing it as malicious and based on witch hunt. Oko is accused of gross misconduct, gross violation of the Constitution, and failing to adhere to procurement rules in the purchase of audit software. If the House Committee finds that the allegations meet the required threshold to warrant Ouko's removal, it will compile a report recommending that the National Assembly commends the President to form a tribunal to probe the Auditor General. Emmanuel Mwagambo, who is the petitioner, had a hard time making his case before the National Assembly's Finance Committee.
When you say the Auditor General was cleared by the EACC, I think maybe that may be a wrong statement, because if they had cleared, they would never have forwarded it to the DPP. So there are two sides of the coin here.
The petitioner seems to have a lot of allegations which you are not responding to. I think you're only responding to the EACC matter that he took to EACC. And when he was here, he only talked of taking that thing of IT and not other allegations.
And, I'll just go back to one of the questions that some of the committee members were actually posing, that, this case was dismissed by the EACC. So was it even procedural for it to be before this legislative committee in the first place? And then does it point to an overlap of their roles, as an oversight, Parliament being oversight and EACC's primary role, just to show whether there's actually a case to answer or not case to answer? What do you think, Betty?
Oh my God, why did you ask me this question? It's so complicated. But to be honest, it is a good question. Why is this back in Parliament before this particular committee? Is it an actual witch hunt, as the Auditor General has claimed? I don't know. I think that, to be honest, as you have mentioned earlier about EACC, that they blow a lot of hot smoke, and maybe this is the one time that somebody decide, you know what, I'm going to pursue this. But I think that they're overstepping their mandate to some extent. I'm more quite sure.
The EACC?
No, the parliamentary committee. I think that they are, because I'm not quite sure what role they have to investigate a matter that was already, set aside. I think that it could be, the political aspect of it cannot be ignored in this situation. I think that the Auditor General does have a valid claim there, in the sense that he does feel persecuted, or at this stage, it's because it's no longer a prosecution.
But then one would say that, well, there was the question of witch hunt, but this is a petition that has been, formally lodged forward. So then we should focus on the substance of the petition. Are those allegations, do they hold any water?
I think part of this, going back to our topic previously, what did we say? We said, if you're going to have due process, then let it be for everyone. So why is it that this particular mandate, people can overstep? He has no political clout. He's working on an office with actual, deliverables, right? So for me, part of the problem where this feels that it is about discrediting an individual who has exposed issues that have brought to question those running it is more the reason. And part of it then becomes, we have seen this precedent set where when it's some people, we're going to do due process. When it's others, we're going to just figure out how it goes. So The EACC dismissed him. The EACC also dismissed Waiguru. Why is he back in front of the parliamentary thing on now just particular for this? Why is there a petition? Why are we doing this, right? So it does start to look like a witch hunt. And at some point, as an observer and as just an ordinary citizen looking through, you have to ask, why are you doing this? And what does it look like? What is the perception to the general public? Are you saying hidden signals? And unfortunately, these are the things that make us sit down and think, there's a conspiracy or it's a witch hunt, because the rules don't seem to apply for everyone.
Okay. All right. And Julie, because this is appearing before, a legislative, parliamentary committee, which is, forms its memberships from both sides of, political divide, can we trust that, the process will be fair and free? I mean, even if we read into witch hunt from behind the scenes.
Right. In fact, watching those proceedings, it was clear to see that one side was battling the other side, and the Auditor General was right smack in the middle. I believe some opposition MPs even went so far as to say that Luos are being removed from all their positions. So it was kind of degenerating into an outright political contest over this man. But over and above that, the petitioner, Emmanuel Magambo, couldn't really justify his intentions. He was asked time and time again, and he was not quite clear on why he had brought this petition forward. And then he wanted to hold the proceedings in camera at one point, and he was told this is already a public proceeding. He said he had some kind of private evidence. And then later on, he said that I've given you a lead, you go and adduce the evidence. So it all seemed like a witch hunt. From looking at it on the face of things. It didn't look like it was something trying to get to the root of the issue, which is unfortunate. But I guess we're in silly season, heading towards the general election, and these things are bound to happen. But then you remember how the president kind of disparaged Owuko at State House.
That's that meeting.
And said, this person wants to go to New York and do what.
And go.
Yes.
Do you think that just set the ball rolling and just kickstarted
that might have now put people on his back, right?
For me, I want to know what is all this noise covering up.
Thank you.
That's why
what have you been distracted from?
Exactly.
What's the distraction?
What is the story behind the story?
What is the distraction?
Right, let me distract you completely. Let's switch gears a little and talk about a social issue developing across the border. About a week ago, Tanzania's Deputy Health Minister threatened to publish a list of gay people who are selling sex online. Hamisi Kingwango took to Twitter to announce that he would be investigating the country's homosexuality syndicate. It is an issue that wrought uproar from both citizens and the international community, saying it was a move that would plant seeds of hate. However, the politician has now backed down, saying the list will not be publicized. Right, so this is an age-old conversation. We've been talking about this since the dawn of man, the beginning of the world, the gay versus straight issue. And of course, we have Magufuli in Tanzania, who is kind of like their moral policeman, in fact, for us all. So I have very many opinions on this, but I will just ask for other people's opinion about this. Lorna, what do you think about, first of all, criminalizing homosexuality, and two, trying to expose people for their sexual preferences?
So, where I sit, I don't think criminalizing homosexuality ever changed anything. We do not, it's very difficult to police morals. It's very difficult to police opinions. You can try and do stuff, but it's really difficult to do. So I just have an issue with people who want to criminalize homosexuality.
Right.
And partly, when you want to put out a list of gay people so that they can bring out the others, how many closet gay people do you think there are? How does that stop it from me turning it into something to bring you down? To just say, this one is my lover or is my boyfriend or whatever it is. And of course, it's an uproar. And with these things, politicians are the worst people to ever try and put together something like this, because it could come back
and bite them
right back in the backside.
And we don't know under what circumstances he backed down on this particular list.
Exactly. So I think for me, first and foremost, I think the law, if you're saying public acts, of indecency, or if you're seen to be doing stuff, it's fine. But this whole precedent just...
Right, all right. We have like 30 seconds to wrap up.
For me, the most interesting part is that he didn't seem to have a problem with the soliciting sex part, which I thought, I assumed that prostitution and solicitation is illegal in Tanzania, but apparently it's not. It's only if you are gay. So that was the part that caught my eye.
I think for me, as we were speaking with Lorna just a bit earlier before the show, that it would be crazy that we want to name the list of homosexuals and we have pedophiles walking out free.
Right,
and this is the kind of list that we want to, put out there. So anyway, That is where we wrap it up tonight, ladies. Many thanks for joining us.
It's been a good show, and earlier today we asked you, do you think that DP Ruto's shoot-to-kill order will help resolve the situation in Baringo? Do you think that DP Ruto's shoot-to-kill order will help to resolve the situation in Baringo? And a few responses coming in. David says that at Karasha 2KQ, yes, because that's the language that can only be understood by criminals, especially during an election period. Jonathan Kipruto says, killing women and children for no reason.
Right.
Yep.
So 60% of you do not agree that this will resolve the situation. 30% of you do think it will, and 10% of you are not sure. Many thanks for sharing your views with us tonight and for watching us tonight. Many thanks as always. We'll see you again next week, inshallah. Have a good night from us here. My name is Sharon Momanyi.
And I am Julie Masiga. See you next week.
Bye.